Hey everyone, Nora Shalloway Carpenter here. I am a young adult author, and like so many other authors, all of my upcoming school visits and activities to interact with students and aspiring writers have been canceled. So that's a major bummer, but I thought I would make a few little videos about some stuff that really helped me when I was starting to write and continues to help starting to write. So I really miss connecting with readers. I hate that I'm not going to be able to visit all of the schools that I was supposed to this spring, but hopefully they'll be rescheduled for the fall. But meanwhile, if you're stuck at home, and like we all are really with this coronavirus happening, join me for some, little writing talk. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about two desire lines, basically, two different kinds of desire lines. And this was a mind blowing concept for me when I was a beginning writer. I really didn't like when I was writing in high school and even after when I started writing again as an adult. I really didn't have any formal training in writing, and I had no concept of what desire lines were, and it took me a long time to kind of figure that out. And so you probably maybe have heard this before, maybe not, but definitely for me, I need to hear things multiple times and from different sources. So I'm going to jump right in, and then I'm going to give you a couple book recommendations that you can kind of look at to see how they do. Desire lines. So I want to tell you a little bit about external desire and internal desire. They're called different names. So we'll start with external conflict for a character. Some people call this the concrete desire line. External conflict is exactly what it sounds like. What is something that's outside of your character that they really want? So what conscious goal does your main character want? Do you have one? Because definitely you want one. If you're gonna be writing a story, it's gonna be a great way to pull that reader along with you through the story. So, does your main character want to win something, earn something? Do they want to go someplace? Do they have what do they want to achieve throughout the story? This is usually much easier to spot than the internal conflict, which we will talk about in a few just a little bit later. But this concrete desire really helps to drive the plot. And this desire is always in the character's mind when they are making the choices that they make throughout the novel. It's what connects the novel. It's called a through line, why it makes the novel make sense. Oh, this character is making this particular choice at this minute because she has this particular goal in mind. Okay? She wants to win this volleyball championship, so she has to make these choices. Okay? So the great thing about an external conflict or concrete desire is that it ties the reader to the story because it always gives us something to root for. When we figure out what it is that character wants, we're going to keep reading to see if that character gets it, right? Okay, so the opposite, well, I guess not the opposite, but sort of. The other piece of it that you want your main character to have is the internal conflict, or some people call it the abstract desire, which can be a little bit challenging to understand, I think. But the internal conflict for me it's the heart of the story, right? So this is, what does the main character want emotionally? If you're just starting out, you might have no idea. You might have to kind of really do some character work to figure this out. But you want to make sure that your character does have an internal conflict because it will really deepen your story. I call the internal conflict the heart of the story. It's really kind of what's driving the emotional plot line, right? The emotional through line. It's probably subconscious. So your character might not even realize that is her internal desire, which is kind of cool, right? But that's why as a writer it might take a little bit more time for us to discover it as well. So don't be freaked out if you have no idea what your character's internal desire line is. We can, as you start to writing, just be aware that it's it'll make your story much richer if if you as the author know what that internal desire line is going into it, okay? So let's see. The internal, I'm looking at my notes, and I'll link to these on my website and everywhere that this post is. But the internal conflict also helps drive the plot because the main character is also making choices based on this emotional want. The emotional want, the internal conflict, is usually also a universal want, and so it really is what ties the reader to your character. It doesn't matter if you're writing a fantasy, if you're writing sci-fi, if you're writing contemporary, it does not matter how different your character is or appears to be on the outside from the person who's reading your story. This kind of internal desire, this emotional want, really ties your reader to your main character and ties them therefore to your book. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of these, like yearning for belonging or acceptance or love, yearning to matter or make a mark on the world, yearning to find a purpose, yearning for respect, yearning for forgiveness, right? There's so many, but just kind of be thinking about that as you're developing your story ideas. Okay, I want to end this short little video with some awesome recommendations. This is a book, another 2020 debut. It's called You Should See Me in a Crown. It's by Leah Johnson. It's awesome. You should check it out, and then you should see if you can identify the internal conflict and external conflict that's in here. And then if fantasy is more your jam, I also recommend Tess of the Road by Rachel Hartman. Awesome for both internal and external conflict. See what you find. The best way to become a better writer is by studying books, really. They're the best teachers. So anyway, I hope you guys join me again for another video, and talk soon. Stay safe out there, everybody. Bye.